Welcome to the Fantasy Golf Bag Podcast, presented by FantasyGolfBag.com, your number one source for the most in-depth PGA Tour analysis in the daily fantasy and sports betting world. Each week, our experts will discuss everything you need to know, from the course preview and key stats to top plays, fades, and strategies. Whether golf betting, grinding out cash games, or playing for a big GPP win, our team has you covered. Let's get after it.
Welcome back to the Fantasy Golf Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Redkacheek, coming to you for a special PGA Championship Major Edition. We are recording on a Saturday night because Draftkings was so kind to bring out their pricing early, as they do pretty much every Millie Maker weekend. And with me, I got two special guests. First off, familiar sound of FantasyJesus, aka Axis, and also we have GolfGurus, aka Skylar. So we got two of the guys coming into you for the PGA Championship preview. So we get all of our thoughts together and give you our best possible breakdown of the golf course, how to approach this week with needless to say, a star-studded field. So I'll go ahead and bring in Axis. How's it going, dude?
Yeah, it's going well. Ready for the second major of the year, and I'm glad they moved it up because it always felt like, I don't know, the forgotten child, which it's still my least favorite of the four, but I think moving it up makes me anticipate a little more, so I'm ready to go for it.
And Skylar, how's it going, man? It's
Great.
Brooks week again, right?
Absolutely. I mean, Axis says it's the worst of the majors. You kidding me? Last year, I think, honestly, it was my favorite one with that Brooks-Tiger battle down the stretch. Obviously, Brooks is looking good so far Saturday. He's got two birdies through two holes to start the round. Ready to roll into the back-to-back for him.
I mean, it's nice cash in a ticket. It always makes it a wonderful event. But
That's true. That helps. I'm in Axis's boat, though. PGA is definitely my least favorite. And it's more of a PGA acknowledgement for me as far as how they set up the golf course and treat some of the qualifying procedures. But again, I mean, I really, this feels like a U.S. Open to me. Like, I don't know if it's just them changing the order where, after the Masters, we go to the U.S. Open and, we're ready for the U.S. Open and the British. By the time all three of those go through, we're kind of at a letdown. PGA is the last one and then it's over for the year. But now, this is the beginning, really. I mean, the Masters was great. We got the PGA, and then the U.S. Open, and then the British Open. So this feels different to me this year. I don't know why. I guess just the schedule change makes it seem that way.
yeah, I definitely think it's the schedule change. Like I said, I think it really does help it out because I don't think fans will get fatigued with the U.S. Open coming around and with the Open being the last one. People love watching the Open, so I don't think you can put that wherever you want in the schedule. So I think it really helps boost the PGA by getting it up front early.
And I think the anticipation of Barclays or Bethpage to see the course, everyone, one of the few public courses that people, maybe that viewers have gotten to play, just some interesting angles with that. No, I think it's way more anticipated than usual.
I think that helps quite a bit, actually, the golf course. If this was a PGA held at, we'll say, Bethpage or Pinehurst or Pebble Beach that we're going to see in a few weeks, it has more of a U.S. Open, bigger major feel. A lot of the PGAs in the past have been kind of like Kiowa Island, which is a nice golf course, but it doesn't ever have a major-esque feel to it like these big golf courses, these famous golf courses.
Completely.
Yep.
All right, guys, let's what I'm going to do is quickly touch on the golf course. Again, this is a Saturday. We anticipate getting a lot of information starting Monday. So depending on when you're listening to this podcast, be sure to tune into, if you're a member, we'll have a lot of this information on the Slack chat. We'll have an article posted on Monday night or Tuesday morning about the golf course updates that we hear. But I really encourage you, these weeks, at least growing up, I always enjoyed it, but playing DFS has become more valuable. The live from the PGA, the different major shows on the Golf Channel. So this week it'll be live from the PGA Championship. You get Brandel Chambly on there, not always a fan favorite, but the guys that are there, they're on site. They have good knowledge of the golf course. So I highly encourage you, if you're trying to do some extra research this week, or maybe you want to have something on in the background while you're doing your research, I would highly encourage you to watch the live from the PGA Championship on the Golf Channel, just to get an idea of the golf course, what those guys are saying about it, how the players are talking about it. I don't know if you guys watch that much at all. I don't get to watch it every single day, but I definitely like to tune in at nights if I can when I'm doing research.
Oh, I always have it on in the background. I don't always love the Golf Channel, but you can always catch some good info mixed in with the media content. So it's always on in the background.
No, I think there's always just little intel that anybody at the course has. You know, if it's a motivation factor, if it's a familiarity to the area, it's always an interesting piece that a part of the process or research or narrative side of things that the most public won't catch. So absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's see. The PGA Championship is obviously going to be played at Bethpage State Park's Black course. It's got a funny little sign on the first tee. It says it's for highly skilled golfers. It's been there since Tiger Woods 2002. I remember playing that game on Xbox, and that's like their intro. It's a very difficult golf course. Everyone knows it. We've seen it a ton. So this golf course hosted the 2002 and 2009 U.S. Opens. It also hosted more recently the 2012 and 2016 Barclays during the FedEx Cup playoffs. It's a par 70, 7,459 yards. It's AW Tillinghast design. Looking back at some prior stats, the driving distance was always one of the longer ones just due to the length. Guys had to hit it. And again, we don't know what the rough's going to be like. We don't know if the strategy is going to be more conservative off the tee as far as, not caring if you hit it in the rough. But looking back, like even the 2016 Barclays, when guys were, playing the basic Bethpage Black, the rough proximity was 7th most difficult on tour versus 12th most difficult from the fairway overall. I think this golf course is going to play similar to a U.S. Open. I know there's been a lot of rain, but I'm really viewing this as guys that are that show up in majors every single year. Guys like Dustin Johnson, Tommy Fleetwood, obviously Rory and Rahm, guys that hit a lot of fairways but hit it a long way. I think this golf course is going to play pretty long with the wet conditions, and I really think, personally, the rough's going to be more penalizing than people think. Because even the 2016 Barclays, that's not set up to be a major, but it's having rough proximity numbers like a major. So I'm really keying in on my key stats as far as like tee to green, green regulation, strokes gained approach, fairways, and driving distance. Well, I use strokes gained off the tee as the driving distance metric, but it's a pretty straightforward event. You're just really trying to key in on those guys and find value where you can through the pricing.
Yeah, so this week with everything that you just said, I got an all-encompassing model that I use every week that kind of takes a look at, like I said, everything as a whole. But then I will, sprinkle in, check out the weighted DraftKings scoring. I prefer people to be better off the tee than worse, obviously. It's sprinkling some weighted birdie percentage and approach numbers. But overall, I think in these types of events, I'm just going to be trying to rank the talent and try to catch some deals on some of these guys who DraftKings may have undervalued a little bit.
And real quick on like the stats side, as far as like off the tee, the one thing I like off the tee week to week, I think it's a very good stat because it's almost relative to the course people are playing. Like if it's RBC Heritage and guys have a high off the tee number at that golf course, like it's relevant because they're trying to get to a position closest to the hole in the fairway, like they get deducted if it's in the rough. I think it's still valuable. And it's also the most stable week to week. So like through a course of a season, guys that are high and off the tee are going to pretty much stay high off the tee or be good drivers of the golf ball throughout the entire season. Approach kind of fluctuates week to week. Obviously putting's very, very variable. But off the tee is a terrific stat, I think, week to week, just because it is so stable.
Yeah, and that's where your game starts. If you're spraying it off the tee, it doesn't matter how good your irons are, you're going to have less opportunity.
Absolutely.
And I think from a point, again, we've hit this very hard through it, but the around the green game, when we get into such difficult courses, and we encompass, again, I'm someone who's very strict on just looking at ball striking almost always, but just looking at good golfers. Those that are playing well, if we talk about, an all-encompassing model of just simply strokes gained, field differential, no matter where you've been playing lately, to see that lead-in form in regards to what it is. So, you guys have hit a lot of it, but I agree.
Yeah, and that's one of the nice things too. I don't know if you kind of want to mention that, but one thing we're unveiling this week with the PGA Championship going forward throughout the rest of the PGA Tour season, this in 2019 and beyond, is bringing in our Euro stats that we've been working really hard on. So now we can really get a good barometer of guys coming from overseas that most people don't have good stats on or no stats at all, versus guys on the PGA Tour that most people are, recognize the name, they see their stats week to week. But now we got both. You're adding it into our rolling stats for all of our members. So I don't know if you want to touch on that real quickly.
Yeah, for those who have followed myself and Axis kind of religiously over the last year, we've really dove deep into the European Tour and found a true love for it. I mean, you are seeing some phenomenal players week to week that are competing at the highest of levels and coming in and making impacts on the PGA Tour when they get to sprinkle in. So you see something where a major field like this is incorporating probably 75% of the field has played in a European or overseas event over the last couple of years. Where those stats, often are kind of overlooked or not really dug deep on. So I've spent some quality time, and you'll hear references throughout, as we go in regards to kind of that lead-in form that we're seeing from some of those European Tour golfers. But I just think it's such an edge in a sense of really understanding the type of player and their form and sense of course relativeness here at Bethpage. So you'll hear that quite a bit, and you're going to get these guys almost always at lower ownership because people aren't familiar and don't see stats. So yeah, feel free to come on board and really get a new wrinkle into our game.
Yeah, absolutely. And this will be included for anyone that's already a current FGB member. And if you join Fantasy Golf Bag through the start of the PGA Championship, so Thursday morning, this will be included in your membership. After the PGA Championship, we plan to have a small price increase for future members, but all the European stats will be included with our PGA Tour data every single week going forward. So I think it's a tremendous value add, even on the random weeks like a WGC or the RBC Heritage when we saw a few European guys come over. No one has stats, or it's very difficult to find stats if you're doing it manually. And now we'll have it all in one place. You can see them relative to the PGA Tour guys. So I think you'll find tremendous ownership leverage.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
All right, guys.
Yeah, it'll be a great tool.
Absolutely. Plus it helps the European stuff, which we'll get to maybe down the road here in a couple weeks. Can't wait for that. Everyone's got to play some Euro. I mean, until you've gotten 3 of 6 and you're really happy,
and
you haven't lived. And you cash. That's what I'm saying. You're happy. Maybe even past min cash, maybe a 4x. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and dive into the player field. We'll try to briefly touch on a couple of these guys at the top range, and then really try to hammer the 8s and 7s. I think that's where a lot of questions will be had. But yeah, we'll start right up at the top at the 10K range, and I guess I'll just have Axis lead off. You've been hosting the podcast for a few weeks now, so who are you looking for most out of this top 10 or the 10K and above? Is Tiger your guy this week, or is he just going to be priced out of any of your lineups?
Honestly, this will be a very tough decision for me because I think going all the way down to 9K, I honestly think almost all of these guys are playable. So it's going to be fine-tooth comb for who do you think is going to win or has the best chance to win if you want to play these guys. Tiger's not it for me, and I feel stupid saying that, but again, I have to forget what he did at the Masters. It was one event and it was awesome, but the off the tee game still isn't always there, and it's pretty generous at Augusta for that. So why would I not play the best golfer in the world right now, Dustin Johnson, for a cheaper price, who is way better off the tee, just as good with the irons of late, and the same with Rory. I know the short game comes into question with Rory, but even DJ's short game has been solid. He's just been playing great and way better than the field this year. He might not – I mean, he basically snuck into T2 on Sunday at Augusta, and no one hardly noticed till the end. So, and then you have Brooks, who just – big game killer, playing well right now down in Texas. And Justin Thomas intrigues me a lot at 10.1. I know the wrist issue. He played fine at Augusta, though. I'd like to think he pulled out of Wells Fargo as a precaution. So I think in GPPs, I'm definitely going to play some JT, hoping hoping the injuries scare some people away because this course should suit his game great. So I think DJ, Rory, and JT are my 3 favorites. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. JT's going to have almost no ownership, I have to imagine, out of this 10K and up. He hasn't been playing a lot recently, so the name's not fresh on anyone's mind. 10-1, people not expecting or not have seen the best results from him recently. I think they'll kind of avoid that. For me, I mean personally, I'm not going up to Tiger this week. 11-3. He has to win, and I think he can play fine here. But I like guys like DJ quite a bit. I'm kind of avoiding Rory. I'm not sure about Brooks, but there's a ton of guys in the 9K range that I like, and even the 8K range. There's a couple. So I'm probably going to take more of a balanced approach. In like single entries, I think I would really want to fit in DJ over Tiger. But like talking Millie Maker, something like that, I really want to avoid the 10K and up range and just hope none of them finish inside the top 5, because I think there's a ton of really good plays in the 9K range. You can start off there and hopefully differentiate down low.
I mean, I think I disagree with you guys harshly on a lot of it. I think there's so much value at the bottom of the board that I can really see myself even playing 2 guys above 10K in like a single entry set, because I think that's going to be so unique. And I mean, you clearly know who my top guy is up top. He's the best major player in the world over the last 5 years, over the last calendar year, whatever you talk about. I mean, Brooks is, to me, stand out. And I think at that price, Brooks realistically might be the most popular one of any but above 10K. But I mean, the course fits that mold again in regards to what we're looking for in all facets game. I mean, his around the green game is phenomenal. Had to showcase that at plenty of majors leading in, and his putting, actually this week, his putting has been like way, way better than it had been. I mean, the Masters, he truly should have won had he putted, field average realistically.
Said he switched back to his old putting coach at Augusta.
Okay. So I mean, I watched him a lot Thursday, Friday, pretty much didn't miss a shot. And Thursday, he absolutely rolled it. Started off well. I mean, so I trust Brooks on the POA, even though he's not as familiar with POA, but he did win, the PGA Championship last year in New York on POA. And then for me, I don't think people are going to go up to 11-3 and play Tiger. I just don't think they are. And I don't think 11-3 is that asking of a price for, Tiger right now. And all the dude cares about is winning majors. I mean, clearly, he's taking time off. He's fully focused on it. I don't mind where you guys stand on the others, but I think I can start Tiger Brooks and set yourself up in kind of a different scenario than most will.
I mean, I won't talk anybody out of playing any of these guys. I know you can make a case for any of them. Tiger can do fine here. I think DJ's the best golfer in the world, so I'd rather play him if we're, looking for small differences here. That's where I'm going to head. But I honestly do think you can play any of these guys and not be worried.
I will say this too. I'm going to play on both sites, and I would take DJ on DraftKings and I would take Tiger on FanDuel. There's a pretty big price difference on the 2 sites between those 2 guys alone. And I couldn't argue anyone off Tiger. I think he'll do fine, but it's just a price thing for me. I think people will still gravitate to the highest priced guy, especially off the Masters win. One of the good arguments I heard was a lot of people, we're in a relatively small bubble on Twitter DFS, Twitter PGA, whatever you want to call it. But a lot of people just hung out at the Masters. They played the Millie Maker. They've not been a part of the world for 5 weeks, and now they're going to be back playing Tiger. So I don't know if he'll be the highest owned up here, but I guarantee you he'll be approaching 20, if not slightly over 20%. That would be my hot take, I guess.
I still think Brooks ends up high owned, and
he's about to win this week too, so that really helps Brooks' case. So this could be completely irrelevant. I think you're right there, because Brooks wins tomorrow, Sunday, it's going to be a Brooks show for the PGA for sure.
Oh, if he wins tomorrow, you guys can fade him since you have your double on him. You don't even have to worry about it. If he wins, you take a shitload of money anyway.
Or you just go all in. You just go all in and win on both.
Just double down with the money you would win.
Oh, that's the play.
There you
go.
It's already cashed. There we go.
Thunderdome, here we come.
Here we go. All right, guys. Obviously, everyone in the 10K and above, looks pretty good on paper. I think we're all a little bit different on lineup construction. So as we venture down into the 9K, I assume we'll start to differentiate a little bit. So I'll try to lead off here the 9K range. The guy I like the most here in overall for the tournament, Tommy Fleetwood, 9,200 is my pick to win the PGA Championship. He's a guy that I mentioned to somebody a couple weeks ago, and then Jeff Feinberg reached out yesterday and also asked, and I was like, man, I'm sticking with Fleetwood. I think Fleetwood's great for this golf course. Obviously drives it really well. Iron game is good. And at 9,200 playing DraftKings, I can't pass up a Tommy Fleetwood. The other guy up a little bit higher than him is John Rahm. Those two in the 9K range are ones I'm pretty excited to play. And I wouldn't argue they're close with the DJs, Rorys, the Brookses, but I think they can certainly hold their own for a top 10 versus them having to finish top 5. So
for me, I think I'm with you on Tommy. He's my favorite guy in the 9K range. I've watched. So I woke up, again, I'm on the West Coast here. British Masters going on. I woke up at 5 o'clock. My boy Guido Migliozzi was playing with Tommy today, and I couldn't wait to watch it. And I didn't see one Guido shot all single day, like the entire day. He did shoot 4 over, so it was a tough one. But I watched Tommy just pepper it all the back 9. Again, he's hosting this tournament, a ton of pressure in his backyard. He's now sitting at second tee to green on the tournament. His irons were looking phenomenal. It seems to be a course again, and Tommy showed up at majors, so I'm in for Tommy. And truthfully, I think I don't really love anyone else in the 9K that I see myself really leaning on. Like, that's when I talk about I'm going to be heavier up top and again go kind of probably in the low 7s, if not like mid 6s for some of my heavier exposure down there. But it's Tommy.
Yeah, this is another range where I'm going to have to make tough decisions because they're all good golfers. So I'll be skipping out on Molinari. I think Justin Rose is a solid deal at 9.9. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. His play hasn't been up to his baseline over the last year and a half, but it's still way above average. So at 9.9, I think I may have. It's just so close to those 10K guys too. But Fleetwood obviously he's underpriced to me, so he will be extremely popular. But that's one of those chalk guys that I just won't fade. Like, I don't really care if he's popular or not because I feel very strongly he'll do well. And then Rahm's off the tee game. Has me very intrigued. And Jason Day at 9K is just odd too. Like, he's one of those guys where the off the tee game isn't as great, the irons aren't always as great, but the short game is always pretty elite. He's one of those few guys where, you can always talk about noisy putting, noisy scrambling, but if you look back long enough, Jason Day has always had an elite short game. So he can get himself out of trouble if he puts himself, a little wayward off the tee or the approaches aren't quite dialed in. I'm not that worried about him not being able to get up and down. And if the scoring is going to be, if the winning score is going to be 6 to 8 under, I think that's right in Jason Day's wheelhouse as well. So Fleetwood's my favorite, and then probably Day, I guess. I feel like I'm skipping out on Ricky too, who overall, he's another guy overall is playing well. The off the tee game is a little worrisome, but I don't think you can really go wrong in this range either. Like, I think it's really hard. There are just so many good golfers that all the good golfers on tour are playing well too, which makes it tough.
Yeah, you're really trying to find something to hang on to in this range. Like, I feel like Jason Day is always like a bipolar player. You're either always fading him or you're always playing him because he's always, even in weaker fields, he's around 9,200, 9,300, and he looks like he should be a 10K guy that you should play, and he WDs because his back, herniated out of his skin. And now he'll end up finishing, third at the Masters or something like that. It's just like very frustrating. He grades out. I don't have it ranked at the moment. Let me pull it up. Let's see. So Jason Day ranks around 10th in my model, and I'm highly leveraging like birdie or better and bogey avoidance together. because I feel like this could be a mix of both. Like guys that make a lot of birdies should have an advantage at a tougher golf course, and guys that tend to avoid a lot of bogeys should also do fairly well here. So it's like almost like a cheat code, I guess. It's like common sense in a way. So guys like Ricky Fowler, Rory, Matt Kuchar at the top of this list. I think Jason Day is going to be one of those that's 12% owned again and could finish top 5, top 4. We've seen him play well at this golf course, so he's probably the scariest one in this range to me. Like Molinari, I'm not going to play. Rose, I'm not terribly interested in, but I mean, I don't know if Skylar has a take on Jason Day, but he's the one that I feel like could really hurt people if you don't play him.
I doubt Sky likes him that much because he doesn't ball strike.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's kind of those, just plug your nose and play type of thing, just like you said. I mean, and there's multiple people like Xander is not someone who pops from a stat standpoint, but he shows up in majors and has a great all-around game. I kind of put those two in a sense a little bit together. Day actually, yeah. I mean, but Ricky shows and models too in a sense.
Yeah, but like Xander and Day, like all these guys are extremely high in weighted birdie out. Like they just find a way to make birdies. It may not be the ball striking, but somehow they find a way. Like,
yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but
no. I agree with you. I mean, it's in a sense where I think they're tremendous players, but it's just not what I look for when I attack. But you're going to get an ownership discount on it too. That's the true point where you have to leverage and make your mind up on it.
I think that might be my play this week because I'm making a lot of lineups this week. I'm going heavy that route. So I think maybe the play in the 9K range is, try to feel it out. And if whoever's going to be the lowest owned, I think you're going to get a solid deal on it. Except for, I'm just not going to play Molinari. I think he's overrated. I don't care what he's done the last majors showing up. I just think he's a little slightly overpriced. He's not a bad golfer. So when I say overrated, don't attack me. I know what he's done, but it's just not for me. I don't know.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say too in this range, I think Fleetwood gets the most ownership, I assume, but he's a guy that I would be willing to eat the chalk on because I think he'll do very, very well this week. But I think Xander gets a lot of love, and I'm not really excited to play him at this golf course, assuming it plays similar to how I picture it playing with the rough. But, yeah, I think if that's the case, Jason Day is an easy pivot off of Xander.
Yeah, give me whoever's going to be – give me Fleetwood, and then if two other guys in this range are going to be 10%, then I'll play a Rahm at 10. I'll play a Day at 10. I assume Ricky's always popular, so I assume he'll get some ownership.
Yeah, it's weird thinking about a ton of ownership. Maybe it's just spread out a little bit. Maybe it's one or two guys in each range that suck it all up, and that's it. So we'll see. All right, let's hop down to the 8K range, and I'll lead off with Skylar here. Assuming you're going two guys over 10K, hopefully you're picking up one guy at least in the 8K range. Who do you like the most up in this 8K range?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to stick with where I went all in on the Masters, and he was there, man. He fought hard for 4 days. Unfortunately, wasn't all made out to be, but Kuchar still stands out as a top play to me. I mean, I'm looking there, 8,700 next to Tony, which is kind of interesting because both of them are normally quite a bit popular guys. But, I mean, I believe this is a $1,200 price increase. Kuchar was mid-sevens at the Masters. So I think he takes a hit there in regards to ownership. But, I mean, of a course where, again, if we're going to talk about fairways is never a bad thing to be in, and someone who's just consistently fairway green and you hope to catch a hot putter, I trust Matt Kuchar arguably, more than anyone on the tour, just kind of safely getting there. So that's where I would be planting my flag again, Kuchar.
He's just surprising me with the lack of ball striking. You would go there.
I mean,
that's a serious question because at the 8,700 price tag I don't mind playing Kuchar, but 8,700 is a lot for him normally when.
Yeah, he's usually 78, 77.
Yeah. I mean, or low eight. I was just surprised that you went there, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, though, last 10 tournaments ball striking, so for him, we have 3 tournaments in there. He is the 4th best ball striking. He's the 2nd best tee to green in the field in regards to it. His ball striking has been phenomenal, and you don't talk about his performance at the match play, too, where he put on a clinic too. So I mean, he's really been, I would say, over the last 3-4 months, really improving that.
That's fair. I was looking
approach.
at a broader scope when I said that. Yeah, that's fair.
So that's kind of what's drawn me if we're really looking at kind of lead up form on it. But yeah, I mean, he's not someone who normally, I mean, if you look at the long range of it, but I think his game has been phenomenal over the last 3 months. I mean, clearly he has 2 wins too in a second place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little pricey for me for Matt Kuchar, but maybe other people will think that too. I don't know.
I mean, is he that much different than Paul Casey? Like in the true realm of things?
I don't like either.
I think Casey is on a downslope that I don't want to hop on right now. Normally, if I can get normal Casey at this price, I'll play him. But he's quite below his baseline, and I haven't seen much to make me want to play that.
Kuchar, I think you could make the argument for cash. Like I just don't see him playing this golf course better than that price. And that's my opinion. 8,700 for him. Like if he was 7,700, then that would be a little bit more intriguing. But he grades out. Like I'll be honest, in my model, he's 100 percentile. He's the best in everything that I weighed. He's the number one guy in this field. I can't play him at 8,700. So
yeah, for me on my cumulative model, he's 7th. If you look below, there's one kind of Euro star that pops out quite a bit, but he's the only person below 9K outside of who I'll talk on later in the top 10.
He's 20th for me in my model.
For what it's worth, the 2012 and 2016, I think he finished 64th in 2016 here and 38th 2012. So nothing spectacular. You could definitely make the argument he's playing better than he has in the last 5 years this year. But yeah, I'm not sold there. So
I think the Casey conversation is kind of interesting though, because I mean, 3 of his last 5 tournaments he's finished in the top 5.
I would be more inclined to play Casey here.
Actually, 4 of his last 7 he's top 4. He went 4th, miscut 1st, miscut 3rd, 25th, 2nd.
Yeah,
it's not consistent. I mean, I'd rather play Hideki. I think Hideki's the most underpriced player in this range by a lot.
I just think Hideki will be the most popular player on DraftKings, and I don't think his form's there. Like in regards to true finishing position form,
it's not. It's like 30th. He's been averaging 33rd position in every event this year.
I mean, he's finished top 5 once in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Now this is kind of a weird
13 events.
This is a weird spot to kind of bring it up, but I know me and Axis probably aren't as high on it, but I know you like to talk putting splits a little bit. So with this being, is it POA this week for the PGA?
Yeah.
Are you looking at that any? Like, is a Hideki, like we haven't got to him yet, but a Keith Mitchell is one that I have to bring up in my notes. But is a Hideki a POA versus Bermuda splits kind of guy, or that seems like it's been holding him back?
I mean, Hideki he's over his baseline, but he is barely above. I mean, he gains less 0.03 strokes gained per round on POA, and he's got 64 rounds on it. So it's still not pretty. I mean, it's better than what he normally is negative putting over his kind of longevity over the last 5-6 years. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think Hideki's going to end up seriously being the highest owned player out there, and I just don't think his form's as good as what people say.
I disagree, but I don't need him to win at 8,500, but he could. I know he has those issues in majors. But I mean, I'm just looking at I've been weighting everything. He doesn't play too many crap fields. Like he outperforms the field more often than not. I know he's got some 33rds and 32nd at the Masters, 31st at Wells Fargo. I don't know how he's doing this week. I know he's kind of up there. But I just think 8,500 is too cheap. If I was playing cash, I'd definitely be using Hideki. If you want to make a case to fade him because he's going to be the most popular golfer, sure. But he'll be in my lineups.
And it's not for me like because he's popular, not playing. If he was 12% owned, I'm still not seeing it. So he's 26 right now, which is fine.
So I'm kind of avoiding the mid range here. I'll just give you my thoughts real fast, and then we can jump down. There's a lot of guys in the high sevens I think are really good plays, but Bryson is interesting to me at 8,900, and then at the very, very bottom, Adam Scott 8,100 has I think a top 5 at this golf course in 2016, and coming in his ball striking. If you're weighing more recent tournaments, his ball striking is elite. Like it's back to what it was in 2017, 2016. So I really like Adam Scott there, 8,100 for this golf course. He's plenty long enough, hits a lot of fairways, good ball striking stats. I think he's a strong play there, 8,100. And I think most people gravitate to Cantley. And I don't really know if Cantley is worth the ownership plunge at 15 to 18%.
I think Adam Scott's severely underpriced also. He's another guy that I highlighted in this range that will be finding his way into a fair amount of my lineups for the reasons you mentioned.
He'd be number 2 for me in the 8Ks as well.
Okay.
So we can agree on a few things here, guys.
Very few.
Oh, yeah. I like to question everything, so.
Well, let's hop down to the high sevens. I think there's a few questioning we can do here. Obviously, guys like Sergio have a lot of good course history. It's been, up and down this year for the most part, but ball striking stats are there every single week. He's probably my favorite in the high sevens, but I think he'll be everyone's favorite in the high sevens. So I'll just try to kick it off to you if you guys have any thoughts in the high sevens here that stands out to you. Because there's a few that are okay, but Sergio to me stands out like the Kuchar of the Masters. We'll say that.
I think he'll be owned like it too.
Yeah, I think he will too. Which makes for an interesting fade.
This will probably be where I'm a little different than most, because it's not that I'm going to ignore the off the tee and approach per se, but this is kind of where I'll reference the all-encompassing model. So I'll lose some core fit here, but because I think at 7,600, I think Webb is talented enough. I know he doesn't finish that high in majors, but again, 7,600 for his talent, I think is a solid price. I think the same for Ian Poulter too. So again, the course fit isn't quite there, but just how they've been playing and for the price, I think those two will find their way into my lineups. And I'm not sure how many people will be playing them due to the course fit, since you'll hear a lot about the driving distance and whatnot. And then Gary Woodland at 7,700. Now he's somebody who the course does fit very well. So those three I like a lot. And then probably Stenson.
Woodland's just come in with some rough form, I think. But maybe it was more of a course fit situation for those.
It's not great, but over the last 10 weeks, I have him slightly above average in the overall model. So
10 weeks. So what? That puts us. I mean, he's in the last 10 weeks. He's gone
2.5 months.
I mean, he's gone 32nd, miscut 30th, 36th, 17th in the last 3 months.
Yep. Yeah, but his stats have been pretty close to inline, like gaining around 3 to 4.5 strokes off the tee as an average, which is going to be pretty big this week. So he's just been losing strokes putting. So I actually, POA tends to negate a little bit of that. Like guys like Brandt will pop for people. They'll talk about him being a good POA putter, but I feel like there's never guys that run away with a hot putter on POA, in my opinion. So it could be a good week for him.
He's 92nd percentile in the field and birdie or better weighted for the season, and his bogey avoidance is what is killing him. I mean, he's making the mistakes and probably from a lot of three putting. So the upside is there. So that's why Woodland, despite the middling finishes and cuts, will find his way into my lineup.
Yeah, for me it'd be Stenson. He stands above. I think. I mean, as a easy pivot off of Sergio Ray to Stenson. I mean, we talk about ball striking lead up form, being accurate and decently long with that 3-wood. I mean, I trust him to be in the fairways. Again, I talked about Kuchar earlier. I really like Stenson as well. And he realistically would probably be the only one seeing myself, if I'm talking like a 3 max or even like a 20 max that I have that much interest in. And it'd probably be Sergio would be number 2, but the ownership will get me off Sergio. So Stenson for me is my favorite in the 75 to 79.
I mean, his finishes are similar to Woodland's, are they not? I mean, I like Stenson too, but I mean, he hasn't exactly been tearing up the leaderboards. He doesn't have the missed cuts, but I have him rated with Woodland over the last 10 weeks at almost the same number. But I like them both.
No.
I mean, both.
I think Stenson's done it more tee to green wise, definitely, than Woodland has.
I just hate Stenson's off the tee game. Like he late. I mean, he's not the longest guy, and certainly if he's hitting his 3-wood, he's going to be losing strokes off the tee. If you look through his tee to green stats, a lot of that's kind of being contributed from approach, which is always a good thing. But to me, off the tee would be a negating factor. Probably, personally, I would avoid Stenson just because of that. He'd have to do a lot of work with his irons and around the green to make up for losing, we'll say 2 strokes off the tee versus like a DJ or a Rahm or something like that.
I mean, he's lost 2 strokes off the tee twice in the last, if I pull this up, in the last 6 years.
Well, losing 2 strokes to someone like relatively.
Okay.
Like
I think no. Okay.
But he hasn't been gaining a ton too. I mean, he's been right at about 0.
Definitely hasn't. He's he's basically field average when you look at it.
I mean, my biggest concern with him is the lack of birdies. Like, I know they're not going to rack him up this week, but it feels like Stenson's going to have to do, like, he's not going to be able to make bogeys. And that's my concern.
Which he avoids bogeys quite well.
He does. He's 91st percentile this season, but he's 25th percentile in birdies. So I guess if I was looking for a reason to fade him despite the hot irons, that would probably be it if I think he's going to start approaching 20-ish% ownership.
I don't think there's a chance he does.
I have no idea. I think
Sergio gets like 28 or so, and Stenson's half, like probably like in the 10 to 13 range.
Yeah, all right.
That's my
I'll be playing him. He won't be one of my higher owned guys.
Woodland does have a quote, if we talk about it here, that this course fits him perfect.
When was that from this year or prior?
Oh, I think like 2016.
Yeah,
it should.
It really should. Yeah, I'm down with a Woodland play. And then I won't echo it or like reiterate it, but like Poulter there, he's just coming in with such good form, and it's every single week he popped for a little bit at the Masters, so Poulter's also in my player pool this week.
But what does Poulter do off the tee different than Stenson does?
Oh, he doesn't.
He doesn't.
I'm just saying Drew ruled him out because of that. So I'm just wondering difference-wise.
I mean, he's just as accurate and lengthwise. I think he's better off the tee than Stenson.
I feel like his form's been more consistent tee to green. Like if you look at where his tee to green stats are being contributed from, it's a mix of both approach and off the tee. Like instead of just approach.
He's at least positive off the tee this year.
Oh, for sure. No,
yeah.
If we're talking distance, I mean, Poulter ain't long.
Oh no, like I said, down here I'm kind of ignoring course fit and just trying to squeeze in talent more than course fit. Like I'm not going to play Kokrak despite what he's been doing. I think that fall is still coming, and again, that's a guy that I haven't really been playing. I'm not going to start now. I think Ian Poulter's better than Kokrak. I think Webb Simpson's better than Kokrak. Like, I don't know if people are going to play him this week, but that's just, yeah. I'm leaning towards the talent here more than the ball striking stats, per se.
For sure. I'm good for the low 74s. No,
yeah,
for the
I was
low
on mute.
I'm good.
You want to hit the low 7s?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sky.
So, it's interesting when we get in here because I agree when we're talking about playing quality golfers that there's a huge drop from 7,500 7,900 down to this 7 to 7,400. So if people that really stand out, I mean, honestly, I'm drawing like straws when we're looking at it. Like I think Keegan can be a decent course fit if we're talking about long and straight off the tee, but he's not someone who's I'm really been playing much lately. I mean, Fitzpatrick I think is a quality guy here, but I don't see it still into that point. He played well when he came around at the Masters, but I mean, you're having me lead off with a terrible strikeout here, but I don't really see anyone I love compared to getting down into the 6s where I start seeing some more of the Euro guys. I mean, even at 7K, we have Harding and Bjerregaard, who I really like as quality players. I don't know if I love them for this course specifically. I think I lean Harding a little bit more, but I'm not planting my flag on anybody here in the low sevens.
Yeah, I won't be planting a flag either. Like you said, Keegan is always scary. But for the price, I guess I wouldn't bash anybody for doing it. I don't know if I'll be able to stomach it, but perhaps a Johnny Vegas. His form has been solid over the last 10 weeks. Fitzpatrick's length is a concern, but his form and even long-term form has been solid over the last 10 weeks. I mean, Haotong Lee is the guy who you're looking at off the tee in this range, but the irons have been very middle to below average. So I think there'll be sprinkles of guys in this range. This is where the ownership really starts to die for me, and it'll be just kind of sprinkling in guys that I think could pop.
Yeah, the one guy, and I just checked to see how he was doing this week. He's not doing great, but he made the cut. That's Rafa Cabrera-Bello. 7,300 for him down there. I just feel like he's a good enough ball striker to
He did
get
catch
it.
the bad wave this week too.
Yeah, I mean he's hanging in there. I mean he's not like blowing himself out of it like a Mullinax or something. So I think
Should have been better though. Should have
one
been
under
better.
today.
Still.
So yeah, I like him going to this golf course. I can picture him playing well. He's long enough. Ball striking wise, I can see him avoiding too many mistakes. I feel like the mistakes here, there's not a ton of water. I don't think there's any water actually. It's just going to be driving the ball accurately if you're spraying it a ton, and he doesn't tend to spray it a lot. So I like Rafa quite a bit. The one that
actually has a high birdie rate too.
That's good.
I mean, I think that would surprise most because I used to call him a year ago until Kuchar started winning. Like he always reminded me like the European Kuchar. Just top 10, top 15. He would never really ever threaten to win, but he was always like, this is the Kuchar range at 7,300. I'd be more than happy to play him. But Kuchar's actually been winning in the last year where Rafa does not.
Yeah, also true. And that's why I think when Kuchar gets priced down here in like 7,700 like the Masters, it's so easy just to fall on him.
Yep.
But yeah, I like Rafa quite a bit. The other one here at 7,400, and it was when pricing first came out and I dropped down here, and there's really not a lot of stats to back it up. I was trying to find something just to hold up the value, but it's just more, I wouldn't say it's a gut play. I don't really go off that too much, but Billy Horschel at 7,400 has continued to just like play pretty solid. He has a decent finish here actually at the 2016 Barclays. He finished 13th, but 7,400 for a Billy Horschel, a guy that he isn't known for playing tough golf courses well, isn't known for playing easy golf courses well. But when you look through this pricing range, I mean, you got Joel Damon just below him, Lucas Glover. And Billy Horschel is a guy I'm pretty interested in, especially in the Millie Maker, because he's not going to be owned at all, and he's actually got pretty good form coming in, like relatively to this range. It's just made cuts in 30th, 40th. So
yeah, my top ranked golfers in this range in the overall model would be Keegan, Rafa, and then Sung Jae. But I don't know what to do with Sung Jae M here. I'm not that big on Billy, but
don't use a model for Billy. He's literally like like the last three guys in the model.
He hasn't been he hasn't been awful this year, like you said.
No, he's been good.
Ball striking's been above average, and if not in the upper 70th percentile. But
yeah, I mean statistically, there's not a lot to hold on to or hold water to, but I think he can he could get in contention in this golf course, and I wouldn't really be surprised. So I'm definitely going to be playing him in those GPPs because he's not going to be owned by the majority of people. He'll be sub 5% is my bet.
So, this guy, do you know how Hatton's doing this week in the British Masters?
Yeah, he's been pretty middle. So if you look,
that's a guy I was curious on. I've been waiting for Hatton to come around this year, and maybe he's just not. Maybe
he's tied for 22nd, 8 strokes back, but he's been decent tee to green. So if we look here,
long term, he's rates out the best for me in this range.
He's currently 6th in tee to green through 3 rounds.
So long term, he rates out good. What about your standard model? because he rates out terrible
in the
for me.
long-term overall model for me. He's fine. It's the recent that has been just garbage.
Yeah, which is what I use a lot of recent. That's probably why he's sub 10 percentile.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, another Euro down here, I think I will play just for the upside is Thomas Pieters. I mean, he might break every club in his bag if it starts getting difficult, but the birdies could be there. And I saw he was 7 under at Byron Nelson, so he hasn't played much over in the States this year, but he's been one of the better golfers on the European Tour this year. I mean, 7K, I think Thomas Pieters is worth the flyer.
So
go
ahead.
No, I was going to say with him, he's middling this week. He's not bad at all. Harding continues to get it done on the greens. I mean, he is a putting menace. I mean, that's the only reason he's hanging around this week, and he's gotten hot a little bit here today. But I mean, that's what kept him around at the Masters too. Is he putted incredible there. I mean, he finished top 12 in the Masters. But Bjerregaard, I mean, I say this now because his form scares me, and obviously he didn't show up on a course that I thought would have been extremely fitting for him. But his off the tee game is strong enough that I think the course fit if you want to go there. But a smaller 3 max single entry, not for me. His just birdie upside when we talk about him. I mean, you talk about Pieters. I think Bjerregaard's birdie upside is very very similar in a sense, but I just don't love anybody low sevens.
So the only 2 guys I'll mention real quick, I know we're getting to the top of the hour and we'll hit on our 6Ks and get out of here, but there's 2 guys I think will get a decent amount of chatter, and I'm not really sure what I want to do. I kind of want to fade both of them, but one I feel like I might have to go to. So Keith Mitchell at 7,300 obviously looks like he should fit the golf course pretty well. Doesn't putt well in POA versus Bermuda. And the other one down there kind of in a similar boat to a degree is Ben On at 7,100, a ball striking fool, but obviously doesn't want to putt. He just 3 putts and gets out of there really easy. So any thoughts on those 2 guys, just because I feel like those 2 probably will make or break a lot of lineups in a good or bad way?
Don't forget about Ben An. He withdrew with the Heritage with 9 holes to go on that neck injury.
Oh, yeah, good one.
I'd rather play Mitchell than Ben An, even if Ben An was fully healthy. I mean, I'm not sure about the injury, but I'd rather play Keith, but I will be playing neither.
I don't like Ben On. Like, if you think about it in a major, if you've been putting so poorly, we'll just eliminate the injury possibility. Like, that's not a good thing, man. Like, your ball striking will hold you up until you got to make a couple tough 5-footers and you're done.
The thing about the putting is, and I know we reference how noisy it is week to week, but like if you're just a bad putter, like I don't like to wait week to week to week and be like, oh well, this is the week. Like
exactly,
I can play guys down here who are okay putters. Like, and if he started to show on the greens that he's consistently hitting, more 5 to 10 footers, then so be it. You want to start playing him again, but On isn't honestly somebody that I play often, even when the ball striking's there, because I don't trust the putting, and it's one of those things where. Like Luke List, like I'm not going to wait for it all the time. Like in a weak field, if he's priced right, sure. But I don't know. He's a bad putter. So it's not shocking to me that like everyone's like, oh, he can't possibly do this again. Like, yes, he can. He's a terrible putter.
It happens.
It happens all the time. So.
Eventually he'll turn around, but you can't just keep taking stabs at it. I mean, it could be next year in 1 week. You don't know.
You want to burn all your lineups every week waiting for it. Be my guest. It's just not for me.
All right, let's. So I think this is the part of the show that Skylar has certainly been waiting for, because the 6K is just peppered with Euro guys. A good opportunity to use all these Euro stats. There's a few guys I'm really eyeballing, which I'm sure you're going to mention. So I'll just go right off the bat real quick and give you my guys I'm eyeballing. I'll let maybe Axis mention a couple, and then Skylar, you could probably have the floor, because I assume you're just loving this range if you're going to build with 2 10K guys.
I'm licking my chops.
Yeah. All right. So the first one that stuck out to me, and I think we already mentioned it in chat, was $6,400 Julian Surrey. Seemed pretty enticing. A guy that's been playing extremely well over on the European Tour. Obviously popped for the PGA last year, I think, actually. Is it the PGA or U.S. Open? I can't remember. But Julian Surrey, 6,400, I feel like is a really good play. Ball striking wise, Russell Knox at 6,700 is one that stood out to me. Good recent form. He doesn't grade out the best as far as birdie or better or bogey avoidance, but he's been just really consistent all year. So if I needed to camp out on someone in the 6K range, he's a guy that I like quite a bit. So there's a couple Europeans in the mid tier there. So I'll lead off with Axis real quick if you got a couple guys, and then, Skylar, just, give us all the good ones.
Yeah, I told Sky earlier this week that I was complaining because I always fall for the Euro trap because I follow these guys. They come over, and even if they're talented, I think it's just hard to make that transition right away. Like, we see it often. They'll pop, and then it'll suck me right back into certain guys. But I told him that Julian Surrey was going to be the guy probably who burns a lot of my lineups. Like, that's just how it's going to be. And it sounds like he might actually be decently popular at this price because he's an American and the name is a little known. But I do like Surrey down here. Another European guy that you could look into. I don't know if I'm going to play him. I'm just saying he's been playing well, is Lorenzo Vera, and he withdrew from the British Masters once he got the invite to this. So he's definitely gearing up and ready to play this. Tom Lewis has been playing pretty well over on the Euro side of things.
Ross Fisher's another one down here. I wanted to steal your thunder if you're going to throw him out there.
I was not, actually.
I played him second round showdown for the Euro Tour, and he shot 7 under, I think. I don't know what he shot today, but he looks like he's coming in a good form. We've seen him in majors in the past. Like, late 2000s, he was up there with the best of guys. Like, Lee Westwood played with Tiger a little bit. I like Ross Fisher a decent amount as well.
Yeah, and then I think there's other, like CT Pan, Russell Knox. You don't think the course would fit them well, but you wouldn't think the course in Texas would fit them well either, and they've been playing pretty well down there. It's a really long course, but that one's open, but they're pretty accurate guys, so I don't think you can go wrong sprinkling in CT Pan or Knox again to keep riding that recent form. So those are just some guys that I've been looking at. Down here, it's going to be very limited playing from me. I don't think I'm going to be over. My main core is going to be from the 73 to probably 8,800 range, and then sprinkling. So, Sky, what you looking at down here? Give us all the goods.
Yeah, no. If I really focus on it, the number one that I talked about earlier was Surrey. I mean, from a ball striking standpoint, a quality of player, and I mean, he came back from a hernia surgery early on in the winter, and it's just been excellent week in and week out on the European Tour. And you talked about the major performances for him. So last year he had 2 top 30s at majors. So he was 28th at the Open and then 19th at the PGA. So 2 of the 3 majors he's played in, he's finished top 30. So he is definitely, and he might garner ownership based off of the price and kind of we talked about it in chat already, but 6,400 for that quality of a guy. When we look at just pure strokes gained field differential over the last year, we see Surrey as 13th best player in the entire field, and that's 66 rounds, just as many as Jason Day has played. So, and Surrey has played on the PGA during that time as well. So he'd be my number one, and again, that's of all people below 7K. I would say Jorge Campillo would be my second. He is hot fire right now. Just came off of 2 weeks ago his first ever European Tour win, and he's someone who, he's a journeyman on the European Tour, but finally broke through on a Sunday, came back and got tied for third. Just missed out on the playoff in China the next week. And you talk about good putters and bad putters. Campillo is unbelievable on the greens. He's someone I've watched in over and again. He is just so consistent on the greens and getting to the green. I mean, we look at kind of just the weighted green regulation that we look at to see how much better he is on the greens in the field. I mean, he's 96th percentile over the last 10 tournaments. So for him, that's 29 rounds. He plays a ton over there. So he would be probably my next. I really like Mikko Korhonen. He just won in Valvo as well. He's just another consistent guy. And again, I'm not scared to go deep down in the 6,200 range where he is. Because if I'm playing Tiger and Brooks, and if I even want to try to even get a Tiger Brooks Fleetwood lineup out there, which is doable, you have to play multiple below 6,500. And I'm not scared because I think these guys are quality players. So Mikko, and then I never know how to pronounce it. It's very difficult, but I'm not even going to do it. It's Jazzy Jazz. Yeah. So I think he's phenomenal. I've played him often. I've played him often. That's perfect. quite often on the European Tour because he's like an Asian Tour guy, a Thai golfer, and he's incredible off the tee approach game. He looks to be someone that I'll probably sneak myself in, and you're going to get him at 1% owned. Might be the high end, but those are probably. I mean, I could literally continue talking for hours, but guys that are sticking out to me pre-British Masters numbers because you see Matt Wallace over there holding strong too.
So the only thing I'm going to say, I have to give a small PSA because we are pumping these guys. We watch them. They're very talented. There's also a reason most of them are still on the European Tour. So take it with a grain of salt. Just because you hear us very excited about these guys, don't come yelling if they suck. Because I just say that because it happens all the time. You're like, well, you told me to play. Like, yeah, but you have to use your brain a little bit and yes, they're very good on the European Tour, but there's still a reason most of them are playing on the European Tour for less money. Like it's not. Yes, they're good golfers, but
it's like when a web.com guy comes to the PGA Tour and a few people are really excited. Like this week, Scotty Scheffler, everyone knew the name, but maybe it was a guy that had finished fifth a few times.
Cam Champ in the swing season.
Cam Champ. There's another one from Stanford, and I forget his name, Maverick McNeely. He's another one that most people won't know the name, but if he popped up on the PGA Tour, 6,400, dude, I would be so excited to play him. Doesn't mean he's he's destined to be a top 3 guy this week, but no one's going to play him. I'm excited to play a guy that no one's going to play that I feel has got good game here. And one other thing as far as the Euros, a lot of them for me graded out pretty well. Like you talk about Jorge, Richard Sterney's another guy, but this golf course looks very much like the European Tour events that those guys play. It's not out of their comfort zone to some extent besides just being in New York. It's very dogleggy, tree lined on some holes. It's very European-esque in my opinion.
It's not the course so much, it's the talent. Yes, they finish well on the Europe, but they're playing way worse fields on a regular basis. So you just have to keep that in mind. When some of these things pop or you see guys, over on the European Tour finishing, T25 all the time, just keep in mind those fields are not anything that they will see except maybe 4 times a year if they get invited to some of the majors. Some of the better Euro guys, they play on the tour regularly enough. And so just keep that in mind.
And that'd be like your boy Guido. If Guido qualified for the PGA Championship and he was popping off the page, it'd be exciting to play him. But this is still his first event in the States, first event as a first major. I would be knocking points off for that if I was being critical.
I'm not sure I'd play Guido in this field.
I'm just saying,
oh, come on. Yeah. I'm at least 20% Guido if he's in the field.
Yeah, he'd have to be 6K, if not 5K. They just mispriced him.
Yeah, I'll play some of these guys, but I do think they come at a risk, and you just have to be careful. But the stats are there for you to make those decisions, though. That's why we included them, so you can see it. But
now, would you, from a lineup construction real quick, because now I'm kind of curious, and I'm sure the audience is, Skylar, let's say you're building guys, lineups with 2 10K guys, and you want to camp out. You have, a good pool of 6K guys that you're interested in playing. Would you max out of, 2 guys in the 6K range or 2 guys, 6,700 and down to put into one lineup? Or are you okay going up to 3 to fit in maybe an extra 8K or 9K guy? Would you draw the line at 2?
I was playing around as we were going, and I definitely just landed on a lineup that had 3 guys below 6,500, and I wasn't even that mad with it. I left a little on the table too, $100 on the table. So
that's a little on the table. It's literally just a little. Okay.
But I mean, that would just be instead of going up to Fleetwood, I could bump down to Kuchar, and then you can get someone higher 6s or lower 7s, and kind of make that. I mean, Surrey makes a lot of things work, and I think we all agree that he is definitely at least me and Axis, I know he's our favorite down there.
I think we've glossed over Matt Wallace too much too, though.
Yeah, I think Wallace.
That is somebody, and I know we burned a lot of people at the mat. I don't know. I thought he was decently owned at the Masters. I can't 10, 12%. Is that wrong? But I feel right. I know we pumped him up a little bit then, but I have no worries going back to him. I think he is a talented golfer for 6,700. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to gloss over him. I feel, if I'm mentioning all these other Euro guys, I think Matt Wallace is near the top of all of them.
Yeah, he's a different class. He's like a Fleetwood almost, like 3 years behind Fleetwood.
He's 6,700 too, and he's he's in a strong position to win, and he's striking it too. I mean, he's
someone I can see starting to play more on the PGA Tour. Like he has the talent to come over here and do that.
Well, put it this way, I don't know the exact number, but on Friday for the round 2 this week, he was the favorite, and he was like 3 shots back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's pretty impressive. I was seeing that, it didn't make sense to me, but yeah, he was like 7-1, the favorite, and he wasn't even in the lead. So he's definitely a talented guy. I'm sure the books know that too, so it's something to go off of.
He contended at the API when he was over here, so he can do it. He can win. He's a winner. I don't know if could win this event right now.
Yeah, but at that price, you don't really need it.
But yeah, exactly. But,
I mean, you do look at the last 2 major or I guess I'm looking at the fall. So 2018, the Open, and then 2018, the PGA Championship. I mean, you see guys like realistically, the optimal lineup probably included Eddie Pepperell at the Open and Peters at the PGA Championship, who both finished T6.
Yeah.
The Masters didn't finish that way, but the Masters isn't as deep of a field either as this, and more guys are making the cut. And so it's a little bit different in regards to that. But, I mean, truthfully, there's guys that have consistently, not saying the same person has showed up on the leaderboard every single time, but they have borderline top 10 upside, in my opinion of it, which can be in a winning lineup when they're that cheap of a price, and you can get guys who I think are going to finish well, above 10K.
So I assume we'll see a few of these guys on your betting card for some top 10s or top 20s.
Yeah, I think top 20s is very realistic for some of these deep guys. That we'll see what the odds are, when we get the T20 market. But yeah, I will scale it back into that sense of T20 for them, and then sprinkle in the lineups. Absolutely.
Love it. All right, guys, this was a good show. I appreciate you guys coming on to do this for us. Again, we'll be available all week. We'll have a couple articles out, and if you're a member of the Fantasy Golf Bag, definitely hop in the Slack chat, and we'll be giving our thoughts throughout the week as the golf course and knowledge about the golf course setup kind of comes to us. And then we'll be doing a show Wednesday night on Twitch. Again, the Fantasy Golf Bag live stream will be me and Jacob, and you can find that at twitch.tv/Redkacheek. I'll give the floor real quick to Axel or Skylar. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we get you out of here?
Yeah, just keep your eyes out for the we'll have a listener league out at some point as well, so keep your eyes peeled for that, and enjoy the second major. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, it's the first time in a while. Like, I always get excited for all the majors, but I love this new schedule, and I love how there's a big event what seems like every 5 weeks, so I'm ready to go.
We'll say this, while you're listening to this podcast, the listener league's out, because I'll do it right after this show.
There you go.
Good reminder. Skylar, what you got, man?
Go Brooks. That's all I got.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning into the Fantasy Golf Bag live stream. If you haven't already, leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. That always helps us out. And if you need to find this show as a replay or something like that, we also post it on YouTube. So either or, you can find us, hit the like button if you see us on YouTube. That also helps us out. So you can check out the website, fantasygolfbag.com. You can sign up to be a premium member, join us in Slack, and find our Euro stats for this week. Good luck this week, guys. Enjoy the PGA Championship all week long, and we'll see you on Sunday with some green screens. See ya.